Hello everyone and welcome back to the Marseille View. So today's video is going to be about wing backs. So since we last recorded, we saw Jorge Sampaoli leave as manager. He's been replaced by Croatian coach Igor Tudor, and Tudor, as I've read, apparently plays with wing backs. So he likes to play a 3-4-3 or a 3-4-2-1 or formation of some sort like that. So two wing backs play on either side, play a prominent role in the sides that he fields. So that makes us think that it's likely that we're going to be looking at strengthening in those areas, although we do have players in the squad already but who could potentially play those roles. Now, we saw with Sampaoli last season, he didn't really play wing backs or full backs. When he first came in at Marseille, his initial 6-month stint in the previous year, he did play sort of wing backs prominently in a 3-5-2 formation. So those were Lirola on the right and on the left, Nagatomo and Luis Enrique as well played a bit as a kind of super sub in that kind of role. So he did play that way, but it turned out the following season he didn't. So what we've seen from him last season was a kind of formation that's quite hard to understand. But he did play central midfielders, really playing out wide in sort of inverted kind of wing back type roles. So there wasn't really a place for natural wing backs or full backs even. So what we're expecting is Tudor to bring his own style to this team, and we do have a couple of wing backs already in the squad. So if we look what we've got on the right side, we've got Paul Lirola, but no one else on the right side. And then on the left side, we've got Jordan Amavi, who's returning from his loan spell at Nice, and we've got Sead Kolasinac. So looking at those three options, we've been told that the club wants to have two players at every position. So we think that we're definitely one man down. So we're almost certainly going to recruit at least one wing back, if not two. So starting with the right side, Lirola is there. Lirola, for me, did a fantastic job when he first came in, that 6-month spell that he had on loan. I thought he was one of our better players. Very interesting, influential, attacking wing back. And I was expecting really big things from him last season, but it didn't work out for him. Last year he had an awful season. It looked like he wasn't a footballer at times. The ball just seemed to bounce off him and he had no technique or control. But I don't think Lirola is a bad player. I think he is a very good, or potentially a very good player. But last season maybe a number of things went wrong. So for example, he was injured and missed, I think he missed most of pre-season. He missed the start of the season. When he came back, he was overweight, clearly. He wasn't fit. The system had changed. The coach was no longer playing the sort of 3-5-2 system that he benefited from. We saw him playing further up the field in this kind of, it was like a 3-3-3-1 formation. So he was playing further up as a sort of right winger. That didn't work out. He didn't suit that. And then he was moved to the left side to accommodate Under on the right. And he also, the role that he was given, as the season progressed, those players were expected to kind of play more inside as kind of inverted sort of wing backs, if you can even call them that. So it just wasn't a role that suited him. So it didn't work out for him, and when he played very little, and when he did play, he looked completely off the pace. But saying that, I still think that we shouldn't necessarily give up on him just yet, although there has been rumours that he could be getting flogged in the summer. We certainly need another right wing back. If Lirola goes, we need two. I would hope that Lirola stays and can get himself fit and also work on the other, I guess, mental aspects of his game, because a lot of the rumours are that he was just out partying all the time in Marseille and that there's issues with his attitude, his mentality. So hopefully if we can sort that out, I would like to keep him possibly as a starter. If he can get his shit together, then he should be a starter for me. and maybe we bring in a backup or someone that can cover for him. Now, the name that's been linked to us the most recently is Jonathan Klaus from Lens, who is a very, very solid player in Ligue 1. So he's been fantastic for the last 2 years with Lens. He's a good attacking wing back, right wing back. He would suit that the style that I think Tudor's going to play quite well. Great crosser of the ball. He's, as I said, he's been doing fantastic at Lens. He's recently broke into the national team, which he looks like he could even go to the World Cup. Now, he's on the market because he's got a year left in his contract. And I don't know what we're expected to pay for him if we did get him, but I would imagine Lens are probably going to want probably 10-15 million euros at least, and I don't know if that's money that we've got to burn, especially not on someone who might be coming in as a rotational player potentially. I mean, you think if we sign Klaus, we're expecting him to start. I just don't know if that's a wise choice to spend our money on that. Especially at 29 years old, he's not got much sell-on value. As good as a player he is, I just don't think it's a necessity to put money in that position, and at least for a player like that you're not going to be able to sell for 2-3 years later for double the money. That's not going to happen for him. Personally, I would prefer to see Fabien Santons as an option, because I think although he's missed much of last season through injury, I think he's a cracking little player. Great right back, great wing back, can play on the left side as well. Superb crosser of the ball, just good all-round player, good defensively as well as offensively. Personally, I think he's a better player, and I think he could come in and challenge Lirola, fill in for him until Lirola gets his shit together, but also potentially displace him from the 11 if need be. So that would be my pick, and I think with Metz being relegated, he's probably available quite cheaply. Questions about his injury issues though. Can he come back from a major injury and slot straight into the team and be ready for Champions League football? But that would be my choice for the right wing back role, and keep Leroy and have the two of them together. Now for the left side, it's a little bit more complicated, so because we've got two decent left wing backs. So we've got Jordan Amavi, who's had a very up and down career at Marseille, started brilliantly. There was talk about him getting in the French national team in his first 6 months here, got injured, came back, was pretty awful for a good part of 2 seasons, and then had a sort of bit of a rebirth under Andre Villas-Boas. He came back into the fold and he was brilliant again. He was a very good left back for us. But then Sampaoli came in and he just didn't work with Sampaoli. He just I don't think he was able to adapt to the tactical complexities of Sampaoli's system, and didn't like being out of the picture, and was eventually shipped out. Now, I think Amavi could be a good role as a left wing back for us, as a backup personally, maybe not as a starter anymore. Going into the Champions League, but I think for me, I would probably keep him as a number 2. There's issues about his defensive abilities, his positional awareness and stuff, but I think he's still a decent player if he can be fit and get his confidence back. So I would keep him if he's going to be a backup, otherwise sell him, not as a starter. Same for Kolasinac. Kolasinac for me came in from Arsenal. From what I've seen of him, I think this player is atrocious. I do not see a footballer there. To me, he looks like a guy who's got some good physical qualities, but I just don't think he's a good enough footballer to play for Marseille. Again, like Amavi, maybe you could keep him as a backup, but certainly not as a starter for me. Just not good enough. I know some people might say Kolasinac is better than Amavi. I'm not sure about that, but definitely we can't have the two of them, or one, as our options from left back. That would worry me a little bit. I mean, you could say as a sort of creative idea is to keep the two of them and also keep Luis Enrique, who is on his way out by the looks of it, almost certainly. Because Luis Enrique showed when Sampaoli initially came in the 3-5-2 that he could perhaps do a role in that left side. you know, not really starting. We saw him coming on as a sub and making some, you know, important change, you know, having an important impact in some key games through assists and stuff. I think there's potential there. Questions about whether or not he's got the brain, the tactical nous to adapt to a wing back role as a starting role, play that for 90 minutes and not get caught out, for example, and keep up his work rate and so on. He's a very raw player, but he's certainly got talent. And, you know, I think if you weren't going to sign anyone, you were going to keep Amavi and Kolasinac. Maybe keeping Lewis and Around's a good idea, because you've then got, you know, a potential option. You know, a younger player could usurp both of them, given how limited the other two are. But I think most likely we are going to sign someone and ship some players out and recan someone else, probably Amavi. The name that's been linked to us is mostly Portuguese left back from Arsenal, Nuno Tavares. That one seems to be quite concrete. I've had a look at this player. I've not seen him live, but I've watched videos of him. This player looks terrible for me. He looks worse than Kolasinac. He just looks like a very raw player who's technically very weak. From what I've seen, it just doesn't look like a very intelligent player. Just to me, just doesn't look like a good footballer. I see that maybe he's got some physical qualities that might be interesting, and there might be a view that there's some potential there to unlock. But I just think that those kind of players, raw players with potential, just generally never work out at Marseille. Marseille's not a club to come in for a young player who needs a lot of work to progress. Look at Luis Enrique and how that's gone for him. Look at Conrad de la Fuente. These kind of players don't do good for OM, so I don't think we're the kind of club that are going to get that out of him. I see that being a monumental flop, a bit like a Radonjic type signing. You know, if you think how Radonjic has got those kind of sort of raw talents, but they're not put all together very well to make a good footballer. From what I've seen of Tavares, it reminds me a bit of him. So yeah, I really hope that's not what we're going to get, but it looks almost certainly, judging by the pace of the rumours. And I sort of wonder whether that's a signing that's actually motivated by sporting choices, or if it's more about something else. You know, the relationship that Longoria has with Arsenal. We seem to be doing a lot of deals with them. Bit of a favour, perhaps. I do question what's going on with that one, if that's the signing that we make. In terms of who I would pick as the left wing back option, if we were to sign one, it's very hard. Actually, there's not a lot of people in the market. I would have gone for Tagliafico from Ajax, but it looks like he's about to join Lyon, which is pretty gutting, because I think he's a very good player and is available for very cheap price. So without him on the market, I don't know who else we could go for. I mean, I like Sosa from Stuttgart. I think he's a brilliant player, but I think he would cost an arm and a leg for us. I'm not really sure who else there. Maybe there's someone we could pick up on loan somewhere. I don't know. There's someone with potential like Balde, but at Barcelona, very raw. I don't think, probably not a good choice for us then. I think the guy from Celta Vigo, I think is it Galan, is a good player who's quite interesting. Could be an option, but again, I would imagine he's probably out of our price range. Very, very difficult to find a cheap left back. And we don't have a lot of money. So yeah, I can't really think of anyone. If you can think of anyone, do let us know in the comments. I think I'm going to wrap the video up there. So please do like the video, subscribe to the channel. Do check out our podcast as well. We've got another episode that just came out in the last few days. So this one was, we had a special guest from the Anglo-Italian podcast who told us a bit more about our new coach, Igor Tudor. Do check it out. But in the comments as well, just do tell me, what do you think about the wing back situation at Marseille? Who do you think that we should sign at right back or at left back? Or do you think that we should just keep what we've got and not sign anyone? Do let us know. Thanks for watching. Allez,